Welcome to the SimTech podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of clinical simulation, innovation, and creativity. I'm your host, Craig, and in this episode, we're unlocking the doors to something truly unique. Today, I'm joined by Scott, Cristina, and Matt from East Cheshire Trust, a team that has combined simulation with gamification to create an incredible sepsis escape room. We'll be talking about what inspired this innovative approach, the challenges they face while bringing their vision to life, and the impact it's having on participants. Whether you're a simulation enthusiast, a healthcare educator, or just curious about how escape rooms can teach life-saving skills, this episode is packed with insights you don't want to miss. So grab your keys, crack the code, and join us as we escape into the world of simulation and creativity. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SimTech podcast. Today we're going to be talking to a team from East Cheshire all about escape rooms. And before we go on, we're just going to quickly meet the team. Scott, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Scott Tatton. I'm the simulation lead for East Cheshire Trust.
And who have you brought with us today?
So we've got Cristina, who is practice development nurse up in ICU, but she was also instrumental in bringing the escape room idea to us. We've got Matt, who's SimTech. And Matt's been with us for a year now, but he's proved his worth over that past year. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Welcome, Matt, Cristina. Pleased to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Okay, so we're here to talk about escape rooms. For those that don't know, would anyone like to tell us what is just a generalized escape room?
So I think escape room is a game where a group of people get given a common goal that they have to achieve together. So as adults, Craig, we forget to play. So we have to go back to be a child again and have fun. And in healthcare, sometimes they get forgotten. So escape room is a way of learning in a fun way.
So we kind of gamifying a little bit of something that it can seem quite. Is it a scary process? You know, being locked in this room is that what we're dealing with here? We're getting locked into this room without knowing what's going on inside.
You get locked, but if you work together, you have 1 hour. In our case, to save a patient. You have one golden hour to achieve together. But yes, it could be scary, for some participants. And we were talking about this actually today, Scott, Matt, and I. Sometimes you get participants that they feel claustrophobic, and we have to support them. And obviously, don't push them if this is voluntary. You don't if you don't feel comfortable. We have to protect them.
Yeah, so you're saying there's an element of psychological safety. Do you kind of address this before they get thrown into the room?
Yeah, we do. We have a pre-brief, so we don't just expect people to turn up and then off you go. We do have a pre-brief. We kind of explain what the escape room is all about, what we're trying to achieve. We ask people, have they done an escape room already, just so that they are aware of the concept, so that we don't have to do too much explaining about what it is. For some people, we do literally have to kind of hold the hand a little bit in explaining what an escape room is. We do have a lot of, I don't want to, silo individuals, but we do have a lot of international nurses at Macclesfield General who may have not done an escape room or don't really know the concept of an escape room. So they, we needed to kind of pre-brief them a little bit more and actually show them the rooms, that they were going to go into, the different bits of equipment. And it helped, it helped them a lot.
Have you had anyone who's just flat out said, no, this information
Yeah.
I'm not putting in?
Yeah, absolutely. Cristina, had a staff member who basically said that she couldn't do this. After the introduction, she just held up a hand and admitted that she couldn't do it. So we did obviously escort her out of the room, and that wasn't a problem, because we will face those kind of individuals who just cannot be in that room, whether it's claustrophobia, whether it's really being anxious about doing the whole thing and being exposed, or whatever the reason is. There's always going to be somebody who is not happy.
is there a plan B for when this happens? I mean, when you see this with things like VR, so people don't enjoy VR, you can sometimes put it on the flat screen so they can kind of watch it as, that's kind of like a little bit of a backup plan. Is there a plan B for when they don't like it? Do they still get some kind of learning out of the situation?
So the plan B would be great, perhaps, to let them watch the escape room from the sim tech, from the outside, so they can see people interacting. So they also can learn from their peers, but they can sit perhaps with us in the control room. And that's an offer that we can have. But sometimes, because they are so built up in their anxiety, they just want to get out of everything. So, but that's the plan B. We always offer people come and sit with us. If we haven't had yet, but that will be the plan B, I think. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good. It's a good way of doing it. Is making them sort of, or not making them, but having the opportunity for them to look at it from the outside, rather than being part of it. I mean, I know Cristina, obviously, with the individual that didn't do the escape room, Cristina worked a little bit further with her, didn't you? Just to kind of make sure she was okay, really, because just the kind of the way that she'd left the escape room. So Cristina obviously did some sort of psychological safety around that, making sure that she was okay, first of all, and then seeing if there was any further training needs that she needed, in order to be more confident, if she wanted to come back and do it again.
Oh, okay. So what kind of escape room did you guys settle on? Did you decide on a theme or a specific?
Do we say? Do we give the game away?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think we could say the topic, because it's, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Well, we did create sepsis.
Okay.
So in healthcare, sepsis is a big topic, and it gets taught in different ways, in conventional ways, all ways, PowerPoint, whatever. And I think sometimes people get learning fatigue because we are all the time trying to say the same. I thought, for me, I mean, I treat very severe patients in septic shock in critical care. From my critical care experience, I think I wanted to empower the first line staff to save that patient, and you literally have 1 hour. If you go on an ambulance or you are in the street, you can see, could it be sepsis? Everywhere if we're being bombarded. So sepsis is a soft topic for me because it's very close to my job. So I was a bit biased.
Was there any close runner-ups? What you was kind of thinking about if it wasn't going to be sepsis? What else were you playing around with?
Well, nothing, not particularly initially. We weren't. It always was going to be, sepsis, but also considering human factors as well. Because myself and Cristina, we're quite hot on human factors training generally. So certainly with the debrief of the escape room, there's lots of human factor elements that you can debrief on. It's not just about the actual sepsis treatment and identification of sepsis, etc. There's lots and lots that we can actually bring out within the debrief, to include human factors.
So there's actually a debrief after the escape room as well.
Yeah.
Is there a specific format? Is there a specific format that you follow? Do you still use the same kind of format as if you were doing simulation, or has it got to be a little bit more bespoke?
Yeah, we do tailor it, obviously, because myself and Cristina, if we're facilitating the escape room, watching from afar, as it were, watching the participants, listening to what they say, because every escape room is different. People say different things, people do different things. So we're constantly writing down, frantically writing down during each escape room, little sort of debrief points, really. But it's all based around human factors. It's all based around that communication, that team working, that shared mental model. So we basically debrief on generally those kind of points, and situational awareness as well. Of course, that's quite a key thing to debrief.
I think the debrief for me, I use a comparison. It's like making jelly. So you put a group of people in a room, and jelly at the beginning when you make it is hot and cold. So you have to join those personalities, which are different humans, into a room which everything will be quite fluid. And as the time goes along, things will become more firm and they will start to understand each other. And this is the human component that we debrief on. And at the end, it's like the jelly will be formed, and then they will be ready to talk about how they got to the end product. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think the debrief is the most important part of the escape room, because it's when that learning will sink in. We follow the structure of giving them time. Scott is very good to how are you feeling now? About feelings, about to let them those emotions, because it could be quite intense for them. Some of them you can see blush and stuff like that, like the heart rate goes up, which is what we want.
Is your escape room built as part of a simulation day with like a hybrid model, or is it just a one-off kind of thing that you might offer to people?
Yeah, so what we did in order to kind of make it a regular thing. Myself, Cristina, initially went to was it the senior sisters meeting that we went to sell the idea. So we sat in a room of senior sisters from different ward areas and basically sold the idea that this escape room will help if you've got any issues regarding communication between staff, team working, etc. The escape room concept could help to alleviate some of those problems. So we sold the idea to them. They loved it. So we obviously then went away, polished what we'd kind of started, what we created, and then I then started to contact the ward managers individually, just to kind of say, this is what we're thinking of doing. This is how it could help your staff. Would you be able to basically rota into put into staff rotas, time off? It's a couple of hours, 2 hours, basically an hour to do the escape room, an hour to do the debrief and the pre-briefing part. It's 2 hours of the day, 2 hours of the time. Can we get your staff to come down and do it? So we had quite a good bit of buy-in. However, it didn't always work out that way, because on the actual day of the escape room, they might have had staffing issues where they couldn't release a staff, sickness, staff actually forgetting, to come and do it. But we did manage to get a decent enough turnout in order to run it. There was a couple of occasions where we couldn't run it because it might have been maybe 2 staff turn up, because we'd have like a minimum number of 3, maybe 4 was a minimum, 6 probably as a maximum, 6 or 7 as a maximum.
Do you try it as a MDT, or is it all just?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So we have had a multidisciplinary turnout to the escape rooms, whether that's nurses, HCAs, whether that's physios, nurses, doctors. We've had various different staff groups come and do it. Yeah, go on, Cristina.
So I think something that you've done very well, Scott, is that he put the slots. Great. So Scott has planned the way that the escape will run. So he gives about 2 hours. So you have 1 hour to run the escape room and another hour, which that way has allowed us to run 3 escape rooms. So if one group fails to come for whichever reason that beyond our control, you will still have delivered to a different group, if that makes sense. And I think that's quite appealing to the ward management from the clinical point of view. You might be able to release a staff member for 2 hours, but not for 5 hours. That will be a full sim team. So they still have the experience that boost, hopefully good, but sometimes it's bad, it's what it is. But they can go back to work. So Scott, again, you've done a great job with that.
Yeah, so I managed to obviously get in the rooms in the first place was quite tricky, because down here in the training department, rooms are pretty short supply and they're booked up for years in advance. So we needed 2 rooms. For it to work, we needed 2 rooms. So getting those rooms booked, and then running the escape room 3 times in a day. So we'd have one time slot 9 to 11. That's the first 2 hours. And then we'd do another 11 till 1, and then we'd have a break at 1 o'clock till 2, just for the staff and whatever to have a dinner break, whatever. And then we'd run it again 2 till 4. So we'd have 3 time slots during the day where we just have a quick turnaround, and then we're ready to go again.
I mean, it must be easy because it's quite consistent, isn't it? If you're saying they've only got 1 hour, so it's almost impossible to overrun, unless the debriefs might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do it sooner than an hour. They might do it within half an hour, and then that means that we still try and keep that hour to make sure we give a thorough debrief. But it just means that we might have a little bit more time until the next group arrive in order to turn the room around again and redo it. And
Is it interchangeable? And by that I mean, would it be suitable for like undergrad, and then actually you can crank the level up for maybe consultants going into it? Can you play around with things like that in it?
Yeah, I think I think everybody can take place, even admin staff, Craig, because when you have a phone that you used to have this phone that have 2 SIM cards, and you can change it which SIM card you can use. So you can exchange, and it's flexible but consistent in the sense that doesn't matter which individuals you put or which level of consultant, if you want to talk about that hierarchic part, is about how they communicate. And you can have very knowledgeable, like, academics, but maybe they need each other to get to a clue. Does that make sense? To identify what actually is important, because an escape room has a lot of distractions, and we get caught. Our brain goes into a rabbit hole where you get focus, like fixation error in human factor, where they might focus on one thing. So it is definitely everybody could take place, and we could change the debrief just to focus on the human factor and not on the sepsis. However, ideally you need to save the patient, so it has to be a collaboratively effort, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I can get this right in my head. Participants might go to their debrief room. They'll get given a little bit of an intro to what they're going to see, all that kind of stuff. How many people would generally go in?
Well, as I say, we've kind of put a minimum and a maximum. So minimum would be 3 people, let's say. Maximum, we try to keep it to about 6 or 7, just because we would find that if you had too many, you would always have somebody who would be standing at the sidelines, not participating, and just kind of watching, not being involved. And obviously, we want everybody to be involved. So we kind of capped it to sort of 6, 7 at the maximum, in order to get a good participation, and then to make the debrief quite personalised as well. Each individual would have a chance to contribute to the debrief.
Would the rest of the people not attend, not going in? Would they be able to get to watch?
So Craig, what? Sorry, Scott. What happened? So what happened, Craig? So Matt designed an introductory video, which they watch at the beginning. So, and then they have to decide themselves to who is going in the room next door. Yeah, so only one person can go in the room where the patient will be sick, if you like. Yeah, that's what and there is a lot of clues on that room. The room is divided by a code in a door. So these people remain here. They can watch the one individual on this room. Yeah. And they need to learn how to communicate with the walkie-talkies. And that is a key part. So there is a component of walkie-talkies, and sometimes people forget the walkie-talkie. So they can see the friend on the other room. They can hear it, but they cannot talk. But sometimes you find them finding other ways. So they shout through the door, do this, do that, which is fun. And we had a team which is familiar with the SIM equipment. They used the phone on the other wall. So they were clever. They find other ways because they knew the stuff. But answering to your question, only one person in our escape room goes in. But then this team unlock, the code in the door, and then they can all go in. But there is different scenarios, like Scott was saying, like different people act differently. Some of them shut the door behind them and they leave the other person, like, you already opened the door, why did you leave them there by themselves struggling? So it's running every escape room is absolutely fascinating to observe human behavior. It's so good.
Do you have a confed in there who might, for instance, remind them that there's a walkie-talkie there? Do they get any kind of hints or tips from faculty?
Not really. I mean,
you do sometimes.
I know I do something. Yeah, but I don't know. The thing is, we didn't at first. So we had the walkie-talkies, and when I kind of designed a bit of a speech to go onto the video, which basically explains escape room and the fact that, you know, how you communicate will decide the patient's fate, basically. So I put that as part of the script, hoping that it would point the candidates towards actually looking at the walkie-talkie that's in front of them, because I put in the script, you know, in front of your eyes lies the answer to stop your patient deteriorating. So I was hoping that would be a bit of a clue, but not a lot of people kind of picked up on that. So I was finding that the more escape rooms we had to do, the more obvious I had to sort of say, well, how you communicate, you know, and maybe looking at the walkie-talkies and not actually points, you know, it will help you or hinder you, you know. So I've started to kind of give them a bit more of an obvious clue, you know, with the whole communication thing. Because like Cristina says, we've got 2 rooms, you know, one person will be dealing with the patient and treating the patient, and then the rest of the team will be in the other room solving clues. So they need to communicate, you know.
I mean, there must be a balance here. That's probably really hard to get. Is that you don't want to make it too easy, but if you make it too hard, then they're just not going to get through. So you've got to try to play with that balance.
One of the things I started to do is while they're in there doing the brief and the setup, and I'm doing the last minute comm checks and stuff in the room, I will turn the walkie-talkie on that is going to be inside the room. I'll make sure it works, and then I put it in house hand. So when they walk in, they've got a patient holding a walkie-talkie. It's like a visual clue. Like, please look at me. Why would the patient be holding? But yeah, even now, you still get people looking at it, and it's sat there 15 minutes into the escape room.
Yeah. I think something that we learned as well, Craig, is we introduced the game master voice. So we never thought about like you say, how we find that balance to make you struggle but not frustrating. So there is a point that you know, maybe I say, oh, Scott, just give them the clue, you know, like just let them do it, and then Scott's like, no, we have to give them time. You remember about that fluidity, like the jelly, you have to give people time to find out what's going on. And then a point, me and Scott look at each other, and Matt is like, no, we have to say something. So he comes with his game master voice, and perhaps it's something very subtle, and it takes some time to process, you know, and then they get it. But sometimes you have to give like a very frank clue, because like you said, first of all, we never make the patient die. So the patient will deteriorate because you don't want to harm what we were talking about, psychological safety. But equally, you make it a little bit hard. So yeah, it's hard. But we have the game master voice now. So that was an add-on. That's a good thing to have. It's like a toolkit that you have. So Matt has the walkie-talkie in his hand. It's got voice game master, extra clues, and
yeah.
I mean, Matt, you would be able to explain a little bit more about the tech side of the game master, how we actually get the voice into the room.
So we've got smarts. We use smarts for our simulations here. So using the smarts in the system that we've got, we can talk into the room. So instead of talking through, so we've got GoMod Hal, instead of talking through Uni 3 and speaking out of Hal's mouth, we will speak through a different speaker in the room, and we will use our hello, this is a games master voice, instead of me pretending to be a dying patient with respiratory failure and sepsis, right? So there's a big distinction between the two because we're using a different speaker at a different end of the room. But we've also started recently trying to stray away from that as much and the physical or verbal coaching, and moving more to, again, that visual clue. So in the non-patient room, where the other contestants are, the other half of the team, they're able to see into the room. So we started to utilize, hold on, we've got all these cameras, why don't we use them? So we set up presets. So when I'm setting up the room, I make sure that all the clues are in exactly the same positions. And if they're really struggling, then on the big screen that they can see of their contestant friend in the room, I will like highlight a clue.
I see.
This is where you should be viewing. If they don't communicate that to the person in the room, then they're working on their communication again and again and again. If they're struggling for that and they still can't get it through communication, that's when we might jump in and go, okay, it's the games master here.
Yeah.
you need some help.
You're building in all these kind of lifelines for them, so you just kind of, because what I'm feeling is, although it's not really a simulation, you're still kind of sticking to simulation rules, as it were, with psychological safety pre-briefs, and I'm hearing even slight confed tips and him like, oh, should we check the temperature, and escalation until you're actually sledgehammering home the really obvious hints and tips, which is cool to see. You've alluded to some puzzles within your escape room. How did you go about, I want to maybe go back a little bit. How did you go about planning for which kind of puzzles you want to input? Because, there must have been thousands of puzzles to pick from. And how did you find these are the ones, which ones you settled on?
So back in 2023 August, I still remember the day. I'm a bit sad that way. So like 12th of August 2023, we attended a escape room with Dr. Mosley, Chiara. I want to thank her because she allowed us to go. Well, I booked myself, Scott, our practice educator from A&E, and our old manager for ICU, and they come along with my crazy ideas, and they're like, yeah, okay, let's go to do this escape room. And to be honest, Craig, that's the first step you have to take if you want to build escape room. You have to go to one, and a lot of the puzzles that we use, we ask her permission, it's all about distractions. So we have Sudoku, we have word search. Some of them are meaningless, but people will be caught into them. We have color books, we have a story. I made a storyline aligned with the pilgrimage. So you have to have a storyline for people to buy into the idea. So
you have to have a theme. Yeah.
You have to have a theme. So if the theme, I was a bit biased. I wanted this patient to go to do the Camino de Santiago. That is a pilgrimage in the north of Spain, where my mom is from. So this patient goes walking, and then they go into a lake, and they cut the leg. So you have postcards when the Spanish female wore the World Cup. Little distractions. And then Scott made a bag, which is the kind of the backpack the man have carry, with, again, millions of other things that are meaningless, but it will court attention. But then you decide which game will make a difference, which is the Sudoku. It's the one that you put a code and then opens a lock and stuff like that. So the games are about, you need to have different games that are meaningful, that will give you clues, but you have to have different avenues that will take you to the same end point, which would be the lock. Yeah. So does that make sense?
Well, the puzzles, because you kind of said they were like colorings and things like that. Were they medical puzzles, or were they just general knowledge?
No. We've tried to keep it as non-medicalized as possible. I mean, obviously, I know there's the sepsis, but as part of this whole escape room concept, we didn't just want to make it for making its sake. It needed to have something that you're going to learn from. So you got the human factors and you got the sepsis. So obviously there is an element of having to sort of know the sepsis 6, but even if you didn't know the sepsis 6, there is eventually, when you get into the crash trolley, you got your sepsis 6 pro forma, which anybody could just follow and then initiate the treatment protocols for sepsis 6. So we try to keep as much medicalizing of the escape room out of it as possible, but there is obviously the sepsis element to it. But in the clues themselves, there's not much in terms of medical knowledge that you need. It's a lot of common sense and following. If you find something, so for example, Cristina was talking about the bag. In that bag, we do have like a torch, and it's got a code on the torch. It's got a little clue on the torch that says "Shine me to find me," and basically we need them to take that torch with them into the room next door with the patient, and they can shine it around different objects within the room, and you will find something that's got a code on it in order to open another lock and things. And on that box with the torch, you've got a code which enables you to open the door to get access to. So the team of, let's say, 5 that are in one room will get access to the patient who is in the next room via that code. So there's, and the postcards that Cristina was talking about, it's a bit of a distraction, but it's telling you the story of what happened to the patient. So if they're unsure about what's happened to the patient, it will tell you that, he was on this walk, went into the lake to have a bit of a dip because it was very hot. It cut his leg on a branch under the water, which ended up getting infected, and that's how he's ended up in hospital. So, we've got this kind of story that goes along with it, as well as solving the clues. The thing is with the Sudoku, which we've obviously talked about and thought, well, is it something that we should maybe change? Because not everybody can do Sudokus. However, when we debrief it, we always point to the fact that these answers are in the back of every Sudoku puzzle book that you get. So everybody's like, oh my God, I've spent ages trying to do the Sudoku. And then we go, well, if you just looked at the back, you'd have got the answers. And they're like, oh my God. So it just kind of sets everybody off laughing. And so there is obviously that fun element in it.
I think also, sorry, Scott, a lady who left our team, Craig, but I think she needs a mention, is Colette Borelli. She really, really helped. She had a great imagination of making this story, and apparently she put a postcard where the patient had been bitten by a snake, and really. It is a definite team effort, and everybody had a contribution in what the games were, or the distractions, or the postcards. But as I said, Colette left, but I want to say thank you to her for all her contributions.
How long did it take from point of idea to getting your first one off the ground?
So that's a very important question. So we went on the 12th of August, and I said to Scott, we have to launch this in November. And we did. In November, I think the 3rd, 2023, we launched our first
pilot one.
First escape room. And I think because it was such a team effort. So Matt worked on the introductory video. Scott, I think, he went away, then he came back, and then we meet again together. So we meet several times. We did plans, and then Colette, she purchased stuff. She purchased the locks, the chains, the torches, all those little props. And Matt was, probably he will talk about, but he self-taught himself how to make a video. I was like, oh my God, this is blowing my head. I was like, okay, fine. So everybody had a role, and then when Scott, we came all together, and it's that moment, like, okay, what we do, and like, let's just do it. Sometimes you have to have that, don't think too much, let's do it. And then we just put everything down, and it was from August to November, so September, October, so probably 2 months. But everybody worked really hard as a team.
How much did it cost? Because you kind of said, you had to buy a few little bits.
Yeah, not much. I don't know. Maybe we spent about £100 maybe on locks and a chain. Just buying a few stationery bits. But literally, we've now got a box which we just put all the clues and things in it when we're finished. Take it all out, lay it on a table. The process of setting up now takes. Well, I've done it on my own, and it's taken me about 45 minutes to do it on my own, setting the scene.
While they're debriefing, I can be in the other room resetting the entire thing. So during their 45 to 1 hour debrief, the whole thing is just turned around. And that's how quick and slick we've got it now, because it just all lives in one box. Everything just goes in one box. Everything else was already in the department, or your AV, your mannequins, and everything else. Or it already exists. It's already here for you to use. Like Scott said, £100.
Yeah. When you set up, have you ever forgot to put something out and I've forgot to reset this or do this?
Yeah. It's always interesting when you get that. I don't want to swear, but that flip moment. And once I've started, it's too late then too.
Because we see it with paper adjuncts, leaving drugs and stuff on there. It was when you were speaking about setting up, I was like, God, you'd have to be so careful to reset it perfectly. Make sure everything's back to normal.
We took photos, so that's what I do now. I have photos on my phone, and when I go back in that room, everything goes back perfectly. The one thing I think we forgot the most was the walkie-talkies. That they hadn't been charged the night before or something, and these two poor people are trying to communicate. That was the day they were shouting through the door. It's checklist, mental checklist.
Exactly. I would have a checklist where
I think once I'd left because the Sudoku in the Sudoku book, I've ripped out the page that it's in the book itself, but taken a photocopy of that page, and then obviously each group you put a new sort of page in there, effectively. And I'd forgotten to take out that page from the previous group, so they'd solved the Sudoku written on that, written in the Sudoku puzzle, and I'd forgotten to change it. So they came to open it up, and it's like, oh yeah, there's the code for that, because
anyway. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Matt.
We introduced a whiteboard, like a whiteboard that you can write on with a whiteboard marker.
Yeah.
And when we set it up, the side that we had looking at was wiped clean. And it's good. We're good to go. On the other side was all the answers from the previous group coming through the escape room. It was like, okay, schoolboy.
Yeah. I think once we forgot to put the up machine inside, so they couldn't take the blood pressure, they couldn't take the SATs, like little props. So Scott said, no, we're going to change this. We're just going to put a cough and a, prop there rather than the full machine, because they're also too much also can confuse. So if you keep it minimalistic, if you like, you're going to kind of corner them just to pick exactly what they will need. And that's also important to have the balance of how much you put on, because when we did ours, it was in a big room, a sim room, and it was too much stuff. And then I was the participant inside, and I was getting distracted for so many things. So you have to also be careful of how much you put in that room.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful about because you got to be careful about your environment as well. Because if you're gonna do this with 2 rooms, the rooms themselves have got to be free of clutter. Free of all the stuff that you would normally have in a training room. Because people will be thinking, well, do I need to go into that? Is that a clue? Do I need to, so you have to make sure that the rooms are pretty much emptied before you can put your clues in and, make your escape room environment.
I mean, you must get people trying to cheat the system as well. You're always going to get people that come in and don't want to do the puzzles. They're just going to start looking under desks, boxes, those kind of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you get also people that shout numbers randomly, like, man, where are you getting those numbers from? And also that's a good point for me and Scott to debrief, because what that reflects is somebody who actually needs to be more aware about what they are saying, because the other person might believe that, and you could actually make things wrong. So it's how you make them reflect on that behavior could affect your performance in the clinical area. And then what I say to if we have those behaviors, like what happening, what's going on? And most of the time what people say is that I just get frustrated. And I say, well, if you get frustrated in the clinical area, what do you think you need to do? And what they say is like, well, I should say it. And I say, absolutely, just say it. I'm frustrated. I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting anywhere. And just showing that vulnerability, that will make you, make the situation better. But don't start shouting random numbers like, like, okay. But it's a learning for that individual, and we all have to do individual work.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what was it like seeing, the first set of participants going in and having a go? I mean, it must have been, it's just nice seeing it work, and after all the hard work and all the effort that you put in.
It was really good, especially because we tested with our peers. So Scott organized for all the practice educators and the team to come and do it. And of course, you're being tested against kind of your peers, which they all have expertise. And it's a feeling of it's so rewarding.
It's that feeling of, yes, it works for a start.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. It's like, yes, it does work. And then we did then pilot it after we put our peers that we work with through the escape room. We then piloted it with a different group of people, just to get their feedback. And we're still even now thinking about changing things within the escape room, it's still a very much a fluid thing. It's not totally fixed, and this is how we do it every time. There's always something that we're thinking, oh, maybe we should change that, maybe we should change that and do that differently. And but it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling.
What does the feedback show?
Matt, do you remember what Sam said? Remember?
Yeah, so like the escape room itself has evolved. Like Scott said, it is fluid and it's constantly evolving, and it evolved even in after that first peer-to-peer review. It evolved. We had our resource officer who came in, and he was the guy in the room trying to look after me, because at that point I was still a simulated patient and we weren't using a mannequin.
Yeah.
So I was in the room and he's in there, and he hammered through it all. He got all his sepsis done. Great. The communication, everything was going great. Then he opens the medicine cupboard that he eventually got into, and there's 3 pots that they've got to, match up the particular drug that they need to give the patient to save it. And we'd used visual color blocks as part of the clue in the product. Sam's colorblind.
Oh dear.
That was it. Like, he literally could not continue with that particular part of it, and he's shouting through to the other room, is it red or is it light red? And they're going, purple. Like, what are you on about? So we found very early on that we had to adapt due to accessibility, and we found very early on that you cannot make a list of accessibility issues that you're going to run into until you physically run into them. We had a lady recently that was dyspraxic. What was the one, the numbers? There was a lady that did dyscalculus. So we had to change the number one, and we have to adapt and evolve it every single time that we run it. Like, even now, I'm no longer a simulated patient in that room. I found out that trying to mimic sepsis issues and respiratory problems over the space of 3 hours in a day will make you very lightheaded. Yeah. And you have doctors that have suspended belief to such the point they're trying to intubate me. And I'm just like, hold on, I can't be in this room anymore. So it's now, thankfully, a mannequin and not me. But yeah, the whole thing evolves and is, like Scott said, is very fluid. You learn every minute that we run in an escape room, we learn something else about the participants in it, but also about ourselves and the way we run it.
I think what Matt is saying, like, having a human there, it could produce, because of course there is a point that the candidate we were discussing today, they will cross the line between reality and sim. And because the line is very, very fine, they go into real mode, and that's when they get the participants get sensory overload, so they feeling so much, and so obviously the cognitive load is very high and they feel very under pressure, and then that could go 2 ways. The candidate will not perform because it's too stressed, so they need rescuing. So I think with the mannequin we have mastered the balance that you were talking about, Craig, where Scott does the voice, or Matt is the voice of the patient, and that also gives that realism, which is what they need, but not to the extreme of having Matt there. Does that make sense? Because that is it could affect the person, because it's, oh my God, they feel this is a real person getting sick, because they, at that point, they cannot see the difference. The brain will perform as if it was real, and that's what we wanted, of course, but you have to find that balance. So we have given Matt a retirement on, unless we want to test a team with a real human. So
I think for the next iteration, maybe we'll put me back in the room for the first 3 or 4, because then I get the experience of them being in the room as well, which is great. That's a great learning curve. But after that, please put me back in there behind the numbers.
Are you not needed, Matt, behind the scenes? I mean, is it so technically smooth now that, we no longer need someone troubleshooting all the tech?
Yes and no. We have a great team here. We're a very small team. There's only 3 of us. And then obviously we've got Cristina as well, who comes down from ICU. But there's 3 of us here. So there's a tech, there's a sim lead, but we've also got Mary, who's our coordinator. And Mary's very experienced with running and doing the numbers and stuff for a sim. So in the event that Scott needs to be in the room or doing something else, sorting out the problems that we might arise within there, I can still be the voice of the patient and still control that. And Mary can jump in and do the numbers. If I'm off, Scott can be the voice of the patient and Mary does it, and vice versa. So the 3 of us, and even Cristina, we can all role reverse within it And I think it was designed in that way as well, so that it didn't matter if any of us were off. The tech has been kept to a minimum. Everyone's trained on the particular tech that is needed for it, and it's all tech that we use in our day-to-day job anyway. Yeah. We've not brought in anything special yet.
Yeah, we have got it to a point actually where I've actually run it on my own before now. I've set up the room, I've switched everything on, make sure it's all working, changed the numbers, been the game master, doing the debriefer, been the pre-briefer, everything. So I've got to the point where we could do it it's not easy, because really the debrief works really well if you've got two debriefers, because you've got two sets of eyes basically that you're looking at two different rooms anyway when you're looking at the videos, when you writing down all your debrief points. So you do need two sets of eyes, and it's always good to have two debriefers that kind of bounce off each other as well, because one might be thinking about something, the other person might be thinking about something else, and you can both share those ideas and bring it to the debrief. So it's always good to have two debriefers, really.
How's the audio? I mean, I can imagine it that they're all running around little silos, lots of them speaking over the top of each other.
Yeah. I mean, it has had its problems. Matt will be able to tell you a little bit more, but we've had lots of problems with things like feedback, just on a general tech perspective. But when you're talking about actually trying to listen to individual voices within the rooms, we are able to mute one room and listen to the other room and vice versa, so that we could specifically listen to conversations that are going on in just one room, or we can have them on both on open mics where we can hear both rooms at the same time, which does get a little bit busy, shall we say. But we can still, to a degree, pick out individual voices from that, but generally we have open mics. We don't have sort of individual mics on each person, so it can get tricky, but it's not too bad.
Okay, so you spoke a lot about the fluid and the flexibility of the escape room. It's ever evolving due to feedback and that kind of stuff. Are you thinking about any other escape rooms? You got anything else in
well, we were talking about this morning, weren't we? So we've had other team members within the professional practice team generally come to us and say, well, maybe we could do an escape room for community staff, for example. So there are, we have thought about just kind of tweaking the escape room itself a little bit for community staff. I mean, we could still do a sepsis theme, but it's just based in the community as opposed to in the acute setting. We've also had maternity come down, the practice development nurse in maternity, who has come down and seen and listened to us talk about the escape room and thought, oh great, can we not do this for maternity? Can we do a maternity specific escape room? Which we're all about, mixing it up a little bit and doing different groups of staff members, and we'll have a look and see if we can adapt it a little bit for maternity as well. So we're always getting people coming to ask us if we could do it for them, for this group of people, and we're absolutely looking at doing other escape rooms. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to finish off with one last question, really. One point from each of you. If you was going to give advice to someone else who is going through, thinking about making an escape room, what advice would you give them? I'll start with you, Scott.
Well, making sure that from my perspective, it was about actually getting the staff down to do the escape room. So making sure you got, good connections with ward managers, matrons, senior sisters, whoever it might be that you need to speak to. But just make sure that you got good relations with those people in order to get them on side and to kind of push your idea and make them realise that it's actually a good thing for their staff to do. Just making sure that side of things is thought about, really, because you can create the escape room, but then it's like, well, who's going to come down and do it? So we need to make sure that that's in place.
All right, Matt.
I would say pick your target audience and generate your escape room based on your target audience. There's no point in taking.
It's like a scenario.
The scenario has to match your audience. Yeah, the more multidisciplinary you can make this, the better. We've had a group of pure HCAs in here and they've passed. We've had a group of board members in here and they've passed. Even though some of them have not done anything clinical in 15 to 20 years, they've still passed what needed to be passed within the escape room. So try and make it as multidisciplinary as possible and try and use as much of the kit that they would really be using or really experiencing within that room if you're going to do a medical escape room.
And Cristina?
Well, Craig, I'm a bit sad and I love acronyms, So as God knows, I always use acronyms. So yesterday, I thought an acronym to share in your podcast. So I wrote, if you think about the word escape, so each letter, an escape, will mean something that you will have to do to make your escape room. So the first thing I will advise is go to escape room yourself with the team you want to create it. Because being together makes a bond to work together. And if you escape, it's good. And if you didn't, doesn't matter, you learn something. But first you have to play and have that learning perspective. The second thing after you done your escape room, you should sit and reflect of what happened. Which games they had, which topic was it, what did you find easy, what did you find difficult, and just write it down. The third, which is C, you have to commit to a date. You have to put a date in the diary to make it happen. Because I believe when you put that date, it's something so powerful, will take you there. So put a date on that diary. The A is arrange a meeting with your team. So meet with your team members, which, we did. I organized several team meetings, talk about the ideas, think about a storyline, make yourself a story. The P is passionate. You have to be passionate about your topic. I'm very passionate about sepsis, and I'm very passionate about human factors. So pick one thing. The final one, which is a E, is execute your ideas and escape. Because as Scott say, and that summarize what both of them say, the E is of escape, and that's where you put people to go to your escape room and you come back to E again. So that's my advice. Thank you.
Well, Brill, I mean, I can see a little bit of work's gone into your escape acronym. We're going to make you famous. It's going to be Cristina algorithm.
Yeah.
All right. It's been great talking to you. What if someone's listening now and would like to get in touch with you for any kind of collaboration, or even to borrow some of your ideas? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, Cristina and Matt don't mind, but I mean, most people have been kind of coming through me if they want to jump onto the escape room. So anybody can contact me if they wanted to. My email address, if you want my email address, is Scott, that's SCOTT .Tatton, that's TATTON, N for November, at nhs.net. Just drop an email. If you want to know any more about escape room, whatever question it might be, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And even if you wanted to come and do it, if you wanted to get a team together, because we have had external people come in and do the escape room, from various places, to come and see what it is that we do and how we do it, etc. Just please feel free to contact us.
If only you weren't so far away, unless you offer some kind of remote escape room.
Oh, actually, you say that, but we've had a group from Southampton. We had a full sim team come from Southampton to do it.
Nice. All right, guys. Thank you for your time today. It's been great learning about it. And like I say, if anyone wants to reach out to East Cheshire team, I will put some of their contact information in the podcast description. And like I say, you can email them and hear all about it, or even go and join them. We'd be fascinated to see how well we do. One last thing, personal interest. Do you keep a scoreboard on how well everyone's done?
Well,
Craig, we should. We thought at the beginning to have this frame, like we escape. We should do it.
Because we do get asked. Were we the best team? Were we the quickest team?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you were. Everybody's the quickest team. Because we haven't exactly got a scoreboard, but yeah, maybe we should.
No, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
We could give them time penalties per prompt.
Oh yeah, that's true. There we go. We're evolving already.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, Craig. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Craig. Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the SimTech podcast. A huge thank you to Scott, Cristina and Matt from East Cheshire Trust for taking us behind the scenes of their Sepsis Escape Room. It's inspiring to see how simulation and creativity can come together to make such a meaningful impact in healthcare education. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your colleagues. We'd love to hear your thoughts or your ideas, so reach out and contact us with the information in the descriptor. And remember, the world of simulation is only limited as your imagination. Until next time, keep innovating, keep simulating, and we'll see you soon on the SimTech Podcast.